Hey guys, Darragh Sheehy here. Today I wanted to create a video that's around something that's said a lot but doesn't really mean anything, or it didn't make sense for me anyway before. And it's around the premise that men should speak more, men should open up about their feelings and start to share how they are with more people. And I'm going to talk about this from a personal point of view and also from a professional point of view from working with people and what I've learned over the years. So, starting with the personal, if I went back 10 years, if I rolled back the clock 10 plus years of my life, I was extremely closed in terms of my emotional side, which is my feminine side. So every man and woman has a feminine side and a masculine side. The masculine side is more got to do with getting things done and planning and logic, and the feminine is more intuitive, it's more flow, it's more feeling. So that side of me wasn't very recognized in myself, and because of that I had this disconnection. So when it came to talking about feelings, first off, I wasn't really aware of what I was feeling at the time, so I wasn't really in the best position either to start sharing openly about everything and anything, because I didn't feel I could look at those things, or that I didn't understand where to even start, where to even begin. And what I did back then was I took to writing, not because I didn't have people in my life, but because I didn't trust myself to share, to start to speak. So I took to a forum that was writing, so I just could do it myself and no one would see it, so there was no judgment from anyone else. Now there was judgment in myself, but I still did it, and slowly but surely I started to open up through that. And what that did was it created an opening in my life where I felt more confident or more secure in myself to share with a person in real life, let's call it. And what I've learned over the years is that there are certain people who we share our messages or share our truths with, and they have an incredible ability to hold space for people and to hold space for ourselves, and also to give us some guidance and support when we need it. And how long you've known someone isn't a good indicator of how able they are to hold a space. I've known people or met people and had that connection straight away, and I just knew that I could be open with them, and vice versa. And it was just this feeling. And I've known people for 20 years who I'd consider friends, who I know I couldn't talk about those things because it would bring up resistance in them. It's an important distinction to make, and I'll explain more as I go along, because I've had the opportunity and I feel absolutely blessed to have a background as a health professional. So I've worked and seen thousands of people in pain, physical, mental, emotional, all aspects of pain. And over the years I've seen how they link together. But starting out, it's so important to have that trust with a person. And I've noticed people who came in the doors or who I've worked with, who we just didn't have this connection, and it didn't really work out in terms of a long-term connection or a long-term project of working with them. And that was fine. As I heard it said a couple of weeks ago, it was like a breadcrumb along their path, along their journey, and also for me, because there's learning both ways. But the 2 points I wanted to talk about were, first, about intention. The strongest thing, the most important thing for opening up, for connecting with ourselves, is in the intention to do it, is the drive to actually understand ourselves on a deeper level as men, and to get in touch with ourselves. And it generally comes from a place of real desperation or suffering. That's been my experience, and also from working with people. It's been this real deep dissatisfaction with a current situation, and where the fear of staying the same was more than the fear of change, the fear of the unknown. And when we have that intention, it's incredible what happens in our lives. It's almost like we just open up the doors and situations arrive, or we go in and explore the world and we meet people who we can have a connection with and who give us a bit of advice or hold space for us, or just something we learn and observe from watching them and interacting with them. So that's the first thing, is around the intention. The second thing is around the person. And when we're talking about exploring ourselves and going into the depths, the shadows, the darkness, then trust is a huge aspect of that, in terms of the formula to allow transformation for the best. And when we find a person, we'll know it, we'll feel it. And we've many encounters with many people in our lives where we just felt we could be open with them, and we didn't really logically understand why, but they had a certain quality to them. And the third thing is how much to share. And I've been guilty of this too, of oversharing with a person who, if I really tapped into myself, they didn't have or want to hold the space for me. And that led to a lot of learning as well. So again, there's a formula to this, and more so than anything, it's not this formula that works every time. It's a feeling. But first and foremost, it's an intention. Okay, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling depressed, I'm confused, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. When you get to that place, there is that space, and in that space you can make a choice of, I'm going to look at this, no matter what it takes, I'm going to find a way of actually moving out of that place. Before that choice is made, nothing will change. And it's not just me saying it, it's been my experience from learning from the best people in their fields, and it's been my personal experience. And nothing would have changed me up to the point that I decided to change. And once we decide to change, then doors will open, but not before it. So it's almost like that door, you unlock it with that choice, and then the world becomes our oyster. It doesn't mean it's all this perfect, rosy life. It's all the ups and downs that come with it, but it's a more expansive life. It's one where we're more confident in ourselves. We feel stronger in ourselves. We feel more creative. Because we have a better relationship with ourselves, we have a better relationship with family, with friends, in terms of with intimacy. And it's just a liberating experience to have. And I mean, everyone is craving it on some level. And the work that I'm called to do at the moment is working with men who have that craving, who've made that choice. And my promise is to show up and to be that person who holds space without judgment, and also offers that guidance and support from what I've learned over the last 10 years. And it's been an incredible journey for the last 10 years of ups and downs, and looking at the deepest and the darkest aspects of myself. And also from working with people, from knowing what works with people. Again, in my professional life over the last 10 years, both as a health professional and then as it became a more holistic version of that. So what I'm saying in the grander message is that if you follow my work, if you connect with this message and you feel something, you feel a draw, you feel this attraction in terms of maybe that I could work with you and that we could have that good connection where it brings about positive change in our life, then reach out, send me a message and ask any questions that you have, and I'll get back to you, and we'll get a good feel for it. If that's not your thing, the point of this, the grander message of this, is that the first thing is a choice, and it's scary. It brings up so much fear, but the prospect of possibility is far greater than staying the same in that stagnant nature, almost apathetic to life. And from that place, you'll feel an impulse towards what's going to work. Things will arrive, just in terms of, you'll have conversations, you'll overhear something, you'll be on the internet and something will appeal to you, something will draw you. And once you follow those signs, it's been my experience that things will open up in an incredible way. But It's finding the way that works for you. And maybe it's writing first, maybe it's singing, maybe it's connecting with that voice in some other way. Maybe it's small conversations, testing the waters. But once you start that process, it's being patient with yourself and trusting yourself. That's the big word that comes up around here. Trusting yourself that you will know who to open up with and what to share. And that when you do that, that positive things are on the horizon. So I hope this reaches you well. If you're interested in working with me, then you'll find a link in my bio. You can go onto the website, you get a good feel for it, you can message me, ask any questions. And as always, from my heart to yours, take care and we will speak soon.